Hi, in this video I want to talk a bit about a growth strategy to grow your account in King of Avalon. If you have been playing for a while, you probably see that it is relatively easy to get to around level 12, 13, 14 of your stronghold, but after that the resource requirements become quite high. You actually realize that the most restricting item, according to me, the most restricting factor to grow further is actually not the timers, but collecting sufficient resources to keep your building upgrades and to keep your research and troop training going. So in this video we try to give some consideration and some goals you might set to grow further. A lot of the focus is on getting those resources in this guide. So we look at first at the different ways. Well, first, two important considerations. It's not only getting those resources that is important, but the other thing is also what is also important is making sure those resources are going to your own upgrades, and if you don't get into a situation where maybe you're collecting your resources for your next stronghold upgrade to level 17, 18, 19, and then suddenly some huge player teleports in and takes all your resources before you can use them. That would be a pity and a waste of having done all that effort to collect those resources. So we also pay some attention as to how to prevent that. But the most important thing is getting those resources first. An important factor in that is gathering resources. And for that, what is important is kind of boosting the gathering speeds with which you collect your resources, and it can be done in a variety of ways that we're going to have a brief look at. So the first, if we look at your university, you have an economics tree, and you see many projects that focus on the gathering and actually also production of a variety of all four resources. So it's important to focus on researching these projects as soon as they become available, so that you increase the speeds with which you gather resources. Similar to those research categories, we also have talent points, also with trees. So each time you upgrade your lord, you get more points that you can assign. And also here I tend to normally focus a lot on the economy tree. What I typically do is after a kill event I reset my points to the economy tree and I keep them there. You will see that besides the gathering and production of resources, there are also some construction and research projects. I keep them there until the next kill event is about to come, and then I switch back. I use my alliance credits to get some talent point reset items, which cost 100,000 alliance credits, and I do sufficient donations to have enough alliance credits to do that. So I find this a good strategy to increase my gathering speed, and also actually make use of some of those talents as well. I will get back to that later, but there are actually two instant yield that is shown here that gives a nice instant yield twice a day. It has a cooldown of 12 hours, and another one is the development. Although the time of research and construction is not the most restricting factor, it's still good to keep things going. So with the development you can reduce the timers with 20% for a short period timers that you start new. So that's also quite useful about assigning your points to this tree. Of course, it's important that you're in a kingdom where in between kill events there is relatively little hostility going on. Okay, besides those talent points, we also have the equipment of our lords. So far I haven't had that much good equipment. Let me have a look. So I have some amulets that gives, for example, that gives some gathering speed and and I have a basic male that also gives gathering speed, so it's important to look out for those, to wear those to increase the gathering speed as well, and just see whether you have some scrolls that you can craft some. And from that point of view, in general, with forging equipment, it's important. You shouldn't have the best helmet, but you should have several best helmets for each activity that you're going to do. So one for attack, one for gathering, and so on. So it's important to have different pieces for each slot, not just look at one best, because there are several different equipment types for different activities. I'm digressing a bit, but that's important. So besides the equipment, we also have the dragon skills. So if we look at the dragon skills, there's a separate guide actually that is explaining about the dragon, so for more details you can also look at that. But you have dragon skills that you can assign, and a lot of the guardian dragon skills are boosting your resource gathering. Unfortunately, this only is applicable to the march that includes your dragon, so only one of your 3, 4 or 5 marches will have the benefit, but still it's good. It can be quite a big benefit, so good to pay some attention to this as well. Another thing is, if your alliance has a resource building, it's good to do your gathering there as well, at least assuming you need that specific resource, because that has an increased speed as well. And a very important thing are the gathering increase items. So you have them for 8 hours and 24 hours. These actually give a huge boost compared to the other things I've discussed before. So they give a boost of 50% for 8 hours or 24 hours. And they are also not that expensive to get in the Alliance store. For 25,000 credits you get a 50% 8-hour resource gathering boost, and that applies to, as I said, to all resources, also to all of your troops, all of your marches. So it's very nice, makes a huge difference. Definitely worth to invest some credits in, and also keep an eye open if you can get them another way as prizes of events, or for example in the marketplace. Sometimes they're offered for a little bit of resources as well. If you can buy these for resources in the marketplace, definitely do that. Okay, so far for the boosts for gathering your speeding up your resource gathering. Let's look at some other ways to get resources. Important way is hitting your killing your monsters. I won't say hitting, but of course we need to kill them. Just looking at a recent report. So in this case I got 80 of 1k food items, and those 1k food doesn't sound so much if your requirements are millions, but if you get them by the 80 by just killing a monster, and you actually get a lot of these 1k food and wood items in many different ways. So it's very important to keep collecting those as well, and don't underestimate how important this is for upgrading. And a very nice part about this is these food items cannot be taken from you as long as you don't use them. So compared to gathering, this is a lot. You get safe resources here, if you can say it like that. I have to scroll through a lot of emails, but to get to a barbarian, the results of the barbarian rallies, but also there you have a good chance at getting some resources, also this 1k item, so definitely good to participate in rallies as well. I haven't really figured out which one is better, the barbarian rallies or the monsters. I think both are very useful. Might do some research into which is giving more return, but both are useful. And if you can hit around level 20 monsters, that's definitely good as well. Another thing is you should pay attention to seasonal events. Currently we have this Christmas event with Christmas maps. I'm actually saving up way too many. I should have used already a lot more. I'm going to do that, plan to do that. And actually these give in a very short time give a lot of resources as well, and they are much more useful than gathering resources, again because the resources you get are safe, they are in items, but also it goes a lot faster than gathering resources. So this Christmas maps, and you have a small chance of some goodies, but anyway, if you just look at the resources, you should use them. It gives you a lot of safe resources as well. And once this Christmas event is over, I'm quite sure the game makers will introduce something else that's useful quite soon. So keep an eye open for those special events. What might not amount to much, if you think about it, is the resource production. If you look at there are quite some buildings that you have here and there with wood and food and iron and sulfur. Maybe you think it's not amounting to that much, but actually if you look at it from a daily point of view, then it can give you quite a lot. I'm going to the stronghold to look at the production. Actually food is a bit of a problem. I'm not doing maybe most effort to keep it zero, but I've upgraded all my farms and I'm using some food production boosts in gear and in other ways. But still I have way too many troops for my current production, so it's quite negative. So I'm actually trying to minimize a bit the amount of food I'm losing each day. So at this moment the difference is already 37,000 food I'm losing per day. Some players might decide to just stop trying and focus on other resource buildings instead, but the problem with that is that you're going to lose food faster and faster as your troops keep growing, and it's just makes it a bit more difficult to collect food for doing large upgrades and stuff, because it just keeps being eaten away. If I look at my wood production, that's almost 35k per hour, so that's a nice amount. Not yet 1 million in a day, but it's a nice I think not, but it's a nice amount to have as an extra. I tend to try to keep upgrading those as well, and if I get a chance to upgrade my wood production boost, I also tend to grab it. I don't have that many iron and sulfur buildings yet, so that is still quite small. Maybe it will change later when the requirements for those resources become larger as well. So that's it for the production. Getting back at gathering a bit, but now looking at it from another dimension, is the march slots. So what's very important is how many marches can you deploy at the same time to do gathering. It is quite easy to get, I'm just going to help my mates first. It's quite easy to get to 3 march slots. One actually you get when starting to play the game, and the others you get in the combat tree. So already at this stage you have one, I believe, don't remember exactly, but that is quite low level, and also the second march slot is still quite low level. That should be easy to get. If you haven't unlocked those, definitely do that, because having an extra march slot is very important. Number 4 and 5 are much more difficult to get. So you have to go way more down this tree to get to the 3rd march slot. It's here, and the requirements are quite steep. It's not only that the requirements, the university level 20 is I mean, that is the real issue there. The resource requirements are also quite steep at 7.6 million food and 13.3 million wood, so it's quite and don't forget about those iron requirements as well, by the way. It's going to take quite some time to get it back, but it's important to get there and to have that extra slot, march slot, I think. But the first challenge instead of these resource requirements is getting your stronghold up to level 20, so you can get your university up to level 20. Actually, previously I was upgrading each level before I upgraded my stronghold to the next level, I was upgrading all my other buildings to the next level as well, but now I just decided to try to start focus on level 20 of my stronghold first, so that I can unlock this research project and do that, so that I can longer benefit from my extra March slot. It's yeah, it will take some dedication, but well, I spent to focus on it and see how it goes. It's quite expensive, but most things you want to do anyway, so it's just a matter of yeah, changing the order in which you do things. So the other extra March slot can be gotten via the VIP. I'm actually closer to that one. I think that is still 10,000 points away, but I already have 40,000 points behind me. Then I get to VIP 8, and then I also unlock an extra March slot. The negative thing about this is that, yeah, VIP doesn't stay active, so you have to activate it. And activating your VIP is not cheap. If we look at the store, there is a 30-day VIP item for 4,000 gold. Well, 30 days is quite a long time. If you break it down, it's 133 gold per day. I think that is worth it to have an extra slot to do extra resource gathering, so I plan to do it once I reach that. I have bought a small pack and unlocked my vault, and if I remember to daily withdraw and deposit in the vault, I get 105 gold a day, so that's already going to take care for a very large part of the 133 gold. And besides that, I play plenty of events that I sometimes win, so there's plenty of gold coming in. As you see, I have over 9,000 at the moment. I mean, not a huge amount, but that should be sufficient to pay for this 4,000 gold once every 30 days to have an extra March slot. So I'm really, yeah, planning, and I don't know how long that's going to take, but get to a situation where I have 5 March slots, so 5 troops going out gathering resources for me simultaneously. That would be great. Okay, besides this is all related to getting more resources, now I want to talk a bit more about keeping your resources safe. We have already looked a bit at, like, there are 2 different ways of getting resources. You either get the resources directly, like when you gather resources, but alternatively you can also get resources in items when you slay monsters and such. So what I'm typically doing is, for the smaller research and building upgrades, I don't use any items. So I save up my items for the larger ones. This makes sure that once I reach my next stronghold upgrade, I can just use these items and I don't have to save up for a very long time. Saving up for a very long time puts you in a risky position, so that people, if you do it by gathering at least, people can steal resources from you when you're halfway through it, or even almost there. And in this case, you can see that I have a lot of these 1,000 food and 1,000 wood items, so over 30 million in food and 20 million in wood. So for the time being, I'm currently at level 17, hopefully going to level 18 in the next couple of days. But for the time being, I've still sufficient resources to pay for those upgrades. So another thing is that you tend to get maybe prizes in various ways, and sometimes at the attachment of emails. Often there is kind of, yeah, like a 9-day period that you can still collect those prizes, so you don't necessarily need to collect them right away. For example, if you donate a lot of resources to your alliance, every end of the week you also get some email with some prizes for that. You don't need to use that right away. You can also only use that, you can only collect that once you really start to use the resources, so they cannot be taken away by others. Similar for the daily rewards, only there the thing is that it's only for 1 day, but I tend to just wait with collecting my daily rewards until I actually need them. So at this moment I'm not needing them yet. Maybe I'm doing another resource or upgrade later, and only at that moment do I collect all those prizes. You of course should not collect them, should not forget to collect them at the end of the day. And what is very important in this same thread of thought is to look at your quest. Actually, that is normally also making up a lot of my resource requirement for the large building and research upgrades. If I look at the quests, I can actually claim already 3 of them, and likely, especially after the building upgrades, there will be many more behind it that I can claim. Each time I claim something, I get resources for that. I try to postpone that as long as possible, so that I can collect those resources when I really need them. So when I'm getting ready for my next stronghold upgrade, I will likely start claiming some of these quests, and yeah, that will accumulate my resources in a quick manner so that I can quickly fill the total requirements for this resource. It's a bit tricky with these quests because it's actually quite easy to accidentally collect them, because at this left part of the screen there is this completed quest, so you have to, I haven't found a way yet to remove that. Maybe there is, but yeah, so far it has already happened to me a couple of times that I accidentally claimed a quest, but okay. Anyway, not doing that and saving them up can be very useful in not putting yourself in a dangerous position so that people cannot steal your resources. A smaller one is actually looking at your, I don't have that many, the wishing gems. I tend to save them up and not use them each time I get a new one. The benefit is in the end you get more resources, because if you use them up in one day, you actually get more resources, because each extra wishing turn you use, you get extra resources. The other thing is, again, if you save it up, you can quickly build up the resources you need in a fast manner. So that's also good. And in the wishing gems is also something to keep an eye out for in the marketplace. Sometimes they're offered for a very low amount of resources. So if that happens, you should definitely grab them. Another important part that I cannot really show you now is the Alliance storehouse. That's a way to safely store some resources. You can store some every day. So every day there is a limit to store, but you can actually withdraw large amounts in a day. So what I typically do is store my iron daily in the storehouse, and yeah, withdraw that when I need it, because those iron requirements tend to be quite large as well for the larger stronghold upgrades. And at this moment I have a harder time getting that quickly from the ways I described before than the wood and food requirements. Currently we just changed the alliances, so we are rebuilding all our buildings, so I cannot show you that, and also haven't stored anything there yet at the moment, but it's definitely a good method to use. Just store your excess resources. For me, iron works well, and collect them at the moment you want them, so that way they can also not be taken away by anyone. What I also want to mention a bit about is what some alliances use is the so-called alliance push, and in this means they select certain players that or one player and a certain time slot, and they say, okay, now everybody is going to help that player to get to the next stronghold upgrade or university upgrade or wall upgrade, any one of the big buildings. So this is nice if you have a loyal group and everybody is active more or less the same time and puts in the same amount of time and the same amount of money into this game. And it's nice to do it like that, but I have a bit of mixed feelings about it, because it also can lead to some unhappy phases within the alliance, because it's maybe very difficult to do it in a fair way that everybody gets pushed as often. And you don't want to get into situations that people who already have a hard time upgrading themselves have to use their resources to help others. And you also don't want to get into a situation that somebody who has been pushed to a higher level is later leaving the alliance. So I have a bit mixed feeling about these alliance pushes, but it's something you can consider with your alliance to do. And it also has the benefit that you can make sure somebody gets his required resources in a short time. So again, it minimizes kind of the unsafe resources that your players in your alliance have. So one more thing that I get back to, that gets back actually to gathering, is the requirement of the location of your hive and the levels of the resource tiles. So around the location where I'm with the hive I'm in, the tiles are mostly level 5, sometimes level 6, and that's quite okay, which means that you can go on and gather resources for several hours before you're finished. As you can see, my gather timers are up to 3 hours. Maybe with the dragon it's a bit shorter, quite a bit shorter, I see. But those are quite decent times. You don't want to have too low-level tiles, because the lower the level, the less resources they contain, and you want to be able to go offline for a while and still keep collecting your resources. Actually, I haven't done any research in whether the gathering rate is also different for different level tiles. In some similar games this is, so it could be that's here as well. Maybe something I need to look into later, but if somebody else has already done that, please feel free to share. Of course, I'm not looking for doing more work. One other thing related to gathering is that you actually need to make sure that you have enough troops to deplete resource tiles in one go, but that normally shouldn't really be a problem if you do just train more troops. So this was it. I hope this gives you some idea how to upgrade your account in a fast and safe manner. If you have questions about this, or if you have any suggestions how to do this yourself, always much appreciated. Please share them in the comments. And thanks for watching this guide as well, guys.